The king is holding the boy's own arrow. He has just been given exact instructions by the very child he is about to execute on the only method that will actually work. Gather the people, tie the boy to a tree, take an arrow from the boy's own quiver, say the words the boy has told him to say. The king does exactly as he is told. And in a moment, an entire empire's attempt to erase one boy's faith is going to collapse in front of thousands of witnesses because the boy planned it that way. Sit inside that for a moment. A child with no army, no political standing, no way to defend himself by force, has just handed his executioner the winning move in a game only the boy understood he was playing. This is not a story about a martyr who died bravely. Every tradition has those stories. This is something rarer, a martyrdom that was also simultaneously a strategy, designed by the person who would not survive it. To understand how a child ends up instructing a king on how to successfully kill him, you have to go back to where this began, long before the arrow, long before the trenches, back to an ordinary walk down an ordinary road. There was a king in a time before this ummah who kept a sorcerer in his court. As the sorcerer aged, he asked for a clever boy to train as his successor. The king agreed. A boy was sent. On his walks to the lessons, the boy began stopping to sit with a monk along the road. What the monk taught reached him in a way the sorcerer's teaching never had. And because he lingered, he began arriving late and the sorcerer beat him for it. The monk gave him a simple cover. Tell the sorcerer your family delayed you, and tell your family the same of the sorcerer. So the boy lived 2 lives on one road, and nobody around him knew which one was becoming real. One day the road was blocked, a great beast, and no one could pass. The boy picked up a stone. "O Allah," he said, "if the monk's way is more beloved to you than the sorcerer's, kill this creature." He threw it. The beast died. The monk told him, "My son, you have surpassed me now. You will be tried. When you are, do not reveal my name." From that moment, whatever came next, the boy would carry alone. What came next began quietly. He discovered he could heal blindness, leprosy, conditions no one in that era could touch. A blind courtier of the king heard and came with gifts. "Heal me," he said, "and all of this is yours." "I do not heal," the boy told him. "Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala heals. Believe and ask him yourself." The courtier believed. He asked, and he could see. He returned to the king's court, sighted, and the king, who had known him blind for years, demanded to know why. "Who restored your sight?" "My lord," the courtier said, "do you have another lord besides me?" "My lord and your lord is Allah." This is the moment the story stops being containable. The king tortured the courtier until he gave up the boy's name. He sent the boy to the top of a mountain, throw him from the height, or bring back his renunciation. The boy prayed, "Allah, save me from them by whatever means you wish." The mountain shook. The men who carried him up did not walk back down. The boy did. The king said nothing for a long moment. He had trusted those men completely. Only the boy returned. He tried again. By sea this time, the same offer. The boy made the same prayer. The boat capsized. Every man aboard drowned. The boy walked back a second time. This time the king asked directly what happened to his companions, and it no longer sounded like interrogation. It sounded like fear. "Allah saved me from them," the boy said. "Twice now." His own men gone, the boy unmarked, still carrying the same quiet composure. A king who commanded armies could not command this. And then the boy did something no one expected. He spoke first. "You will not be able to kill me," he told the king, "until you do exactly as I say. Gather the people in one place, tie me to a tree, take an arrow from my own quiver. Say, 'In the name of Allah, the Lord of the boy,' then shoot me. Do this, and you will succeed." The king did not answer right away. He was being handed by the child he could not kill, the one method that would actually work. And it was also his only way out of a humiliation growing worse with each attempt. He agreed. The boy was not asking for mercy. He had just watched 2 executions fail through divine protection, and he was about to end that protection himself on his own terms in front of everyone the king could gather. Why would anyone do this? Because his death was never the objective. What happened in the room where he died, that was the objective. And the only way to guarantee the right words reached enough witnesses that they could never be erased was to design the moment himself. The king did exactly as instructed. He gathered the people onto open ground. Word had already moved through the kingdom. The mountain that shook, the sea that swallowed soldiers instead of him. When the order went out, they came in numbers no ordinary execution would have drawn. Thousands, shoulder to shoulder under an open sky, waiting to see which story was true, the boy's God or the king's power. They tied him to the trunk of a tree. The boy did not struggle against the ropes. He did not plead. He stood the way he had stood through every failed attempt before this one. Quiet, unhurried, as though he had already lived this moment once in his mind and was simply waiting for the world to catch up to it. The king stepped forward and took an arrow from the boy's own quiver. His hand paused there. This was the boy's own arrow, from his own household, the one he had insisted on. And the king, for reasons he could not have explained, did not question it. He placed it against the bow. The crowd had gone silent, not the silence of people with nothing to say, the silence of thousands holding the same breath at once, waiting to see whether the impossible pattern would finally break. The king drew the string back, and he said the words the boy had given him, "In the name of Allah, the Lord of the boy." He released the arrow. For 1 full second, the length of time it takes an arrow to cross open ground, nothing in that gathering moved. Not the king's raised arm, not the boy's still frame against the tree, not the crowd, packed close enough that a single gasp could have passed through all of them, like wind through wheat. Then the arrow found him. It struck him in the temple. His hand rose, not in defense. There was no time left for defense, but to rest over the wound, the way a hand rests over something already accepted. And he died. There was a silence after that. Not relief, not celebration. The particular silence of a crowd that has just watched something happen and has not yet decided, person by person, what it means. Someone near the front said it first. Quiet, almost to themselves, almost disbelieving their own voice. "We believe in the Lord of the boy." Then another voice picked it up, and another. It did not spread the way a rumor spreads, slowly, person to person. It spread the way realization spreads. Thousands of people, standing in the same place, hearing the same words in their own king's mouth only seconds earlier, arriving at the same understanding within the same breath. They had all heard him say it. They had all watched the arrow fly immediately after. And now the words were no longer his. They belonged to the crowd. It rose from the front rows to the back. Thousands of people gathered that morning to watch an execution, now saying the very sentence the king had used to carry it out. Except now, it was not an incantation borrowed for a killing. It was a confession, The king stood there with the bow still in his hand. Now listen to what that moment actually was. The people who had gathered to watch a killing had also, without meaning to, heard their own king declare who the boy's lord was, and watched an arrow prove nothing except that the declaration was true. It was reported back to him plainly, "The thing you feared has happened." By Allah, all the people have believed in the Lord of the boy. He had feared it before it happened. Every tool of his rule, the mountain, the sea, his own soldiers, his own arrow, had been turned into evidence against him. This is what the boy planned. A quiet death on a mountain or in the sea would have been a private miracle, witnessed only by soldiers who could not report it. A public execution, using his own arrow and the king's own mouth, could not be hidden or walked back. The boy did not survive his plan, but it worked exactly as he intended. The king's response was not restraint. It was rage on a scale that moved far beyond one boy. He ordered trenches dug at the road's entrances and fires lit inside them. Whoever renounces their faith, let them go. Whoever does not, into the fire. What began as one boy's quiet decision to sit with a monk had become, within days, a mass persecution. Men and women brought to the trench's edge, given one last chance to unsay what they now believed. Among them was a woman, carrying her infant son at her breast. She reached the edge, and she hesitated. Not from doubt, from the particular fear that has nothing to do with your own courage and everything to do with the small life in your arms. And her son spoke to her, "Be patient, mother, for you are upon the truth." An infant, given a voice by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at the single moment his mother's faith needed it most. Not to save himself, but to steady the person who was afraid for him. This is where the story of the boy and the king ends. Not with the arrow, not with the trenches, with an infant's voice, in the exact instant courage was hardest to find. We live in an era obsessed with visible power, followers, platforms, reach, influence you can measure and display. This story hands you its opposite, a child with none of those things, who understood that certainty does not need a platform to be permanent. It only needs one honest moment, witnessed by enough people that it cannot be erased. He did not outfight the king. He did not out-argue him. He simply knew, standing at that tree, what an infant would somehow also know, standing at the edge of a fire not long after, that some things are worth losing everything for, and that the losing is not the end of the story. It is how the story survives. The trenches were not proof that he failed. They were proof of exactly how much he had already won. Wallahu alam, and Allah knows best.